Thank you, Can. This Housing Amendment Bill, though technical, is in nature touches upon the very important issues regarding housing. Our local authorities remain central to housing provision and in meeting the housing needs of communities. Various provisions contained in this bill will in fact strengthen the role of local authorities. In particular, this bill makes clear that the design of a rent scheme is a function reserved for the housing authority. On several occasions recently, this government has been accused of putting a centralisation policy at the expense of local authorities or other county-based organisations, and I believe that these accusations are without foundation. Without question, there are a number of state-funded initiatives and programmes which have been transferred to national bodies with positive results in the main. However, as is demonstrated with this bill, other important functions and service provision are being maintained or indeed strengthened at county council and city council level. The housing needs of a county or city will be best understood at the county council level, as will the design of the rental scheme to be operated. This legislation will provide for the deletion of certain existing provisions which conflict with the rental schemes that are determined using the criteria of household income and composition. I believe that the government should provide for overarching strategic leadership by tackling the problems in partnership with the various local authorities. We also need to realise that the different interconnected and related aspects of this policy area. Changes to legislation governing local authority housing rental schemes will most likely impact on the Department of Social Protection Rent Supplement Scheme and also the provision of social housing and other local authority schemes. A related issue to housing is the regrettable problem of homelessness. Recently, the Minister with responsibility for housing and planning, John O'Sullivan, published a very welcome homelessness policy statement, which outlined this government's commitment to prioritise the provision of long-term solutions as opposed to the current system, which relies on a series of short-term initiatives. Today, a local Galway charity, Cope Galway, furnished me with a copy of their submission document on the rent supplement scheme, a review of which is imminent. And I would urge both the Department of Social Protection and the Department of Environment, Community and Local Government to read the submission, as it contains some very workable and sensible recommendations on different aspects of housing. In 2012, Cope Galway provided accommodation support to over 330 men, women and children. The organisation has found increased pressure on its services on account of the requirements of the rent supplement scheme, the maximum rental limits and the lack of discretion that can be shown by the Department of Social Protection representatives, formerly known as community welfare officers. I appreciate the pressure on the social protection budget, and I understand how careful the Minister must be with the rent supplement on account of the often overlooked fact that over 40% of the housing stock in the rental market is involved with the rent supplement scheme. This in effect means that changes to the rent supplement scheme will have consequences not just on those citizens availing of the scheme, but also other citizens who reside in private rented accommodation. However, there must be a realisation at government level that homelessness is a distinct possibility if the criteria or rental limits of the rent supplement scheme are too stringent and not in keeping with the current market conditions. As I said earlier, Cope Galway furnished us with a report, and they've asked for a number of things, including that the rent cap levels for Galway City need to be increased so as to ensure that people who are dependent on rent supplement can secure affordable housing. And their submission details the findings of a recent survey at the lower end rental properties available in Galway City, which clearly demonstrate that the current cap levels are too low. It also states that the rent supplement system should be aligned to the prevailing practices in the private rental market in respect of deposit and rent in advance requirements, and the application process for rent supplement should be simplified to make it more user-friendly for both rent supplement applications and landlords, and also that the social protection officers be given greater discretionary powers to be able to breach the rent cap in exceptional circumstances, and including where this will help prevent people from long-term homelessness. I think those are important things that should be taken on. Another issue that I would like to raise further is the use of housing stock now under the ownership of NAMA, and I want to reiterate my suggestion that a portion of the stock be transferred for the use of social housing and affordable housing, which would help against homelessness, protect against homelessness. I would also suggest that a facility be put in place that would enable, as I said before, the transfer of houses and apartments, where possible, from property developers to local authorities in cases of unpaid development levies. These measures may take time to construct and implement, but I believe strongly that they ought to form part of this government's housing strategy.